Okay, so we'll start the session today either, if you can, either coming to sitting on your heels. Remember, if you're sitting on heels, you can explore taking height between the bum and the heels, and that can be helpful for easing pressure on the feet and on the knees. And you could explore taking as much height as feels helpful. So you could have a pile of cushions or blankets or whatever, and just notice how that feels. So either sitting on heels with whatever support feels right, or if you can have it available to you, then sitting in a chair. So if sitting on heels doesn't feel right, then come to sitting on a chair if you can. So the key thing here is, if you possibly can, come to a seated position where the hips are closed rather than open. So it can be quite easy for us when we come to a yoga practice. There's a lot of associations with being on the mat. So it can be very easy for the mind to interpret what I've just said still as, oh, if I can sit on the mat, I'll stay sitting on the mat, even if that means being in Sukhasana. So if a chair isn't available to you, if sitting on heels isn't right for you and a chair isn't available to you and you need to sit in Sukhasana on the mat, no problem. But I'm just encouraging you, if you can, to be in a seated position where hips are closed. Not a deal breaker if not. If you are coming to sit on a chair, that can be a really great opportunity to remind yourself and bring some perhaps renewed awareness to just how helpful the chair can be as a prop in our yoga practice. The other thing to note is we'll be seated for the first part of this session for a little while. So I will periodically offer you opportunities to release the legs and ease them out, particularly if you're sitting on heels. You could also use that as an opportunity to change from being on the mat to being on a chair, or vice versa. So you could chop and change between those positions. So once you've come to a comfortable seated position, then either closing your eyes or softening your gaze and bringing your focus to your breath. Just observing the breath in its natural rhythm as it comes in, as it goes out. Really seeing if you can notice how it feels as the breath comes in to the body, how it feels as it goes out. You might even find it helpful to think to yourself each time the breath comes in, inhaling or breathing in. And maybe think to yourself each time the breath goes out, exhaling or breathing out. If you want to set an intention for your practice today, take a moment to do that now. So just see what comes up for you. Maybe something quite clear you have in mind. Maybe it takes the form of an affirmation. I am grounded, I'm centered, I'm calm. Just see what comes up for you. And set that intention now if you want to. Next time you inhale, imagine that you're inhaling from the base of your spine all the way up the spine and into the chest. And then as you exhale, have a feeling of the tops of the shoulders softening down, and imagine that exhale, that sense of softening, traveling down the body all the way through to the sit bones. So there's a feeling of the sit bones softening and releasing at the bottom of each exhale. So continue to follow the breath in this way. Inhaling up the spine. See if you can start to find a sense of lengthening in the spine on each inhale. And as you exhale, a feeling of softening, of releasing down that comes all the way through to the sit bones. So it feels like the sit bones are releasing into the surface beneath them a little more. This may have naturally happened, but if not, you might want to explore lengthening the inhale and the exhale a little here. So you're still keeping the breath easeful, but you're just taking a little bit more time to explore that sense of length in the spine on the inhale, that sense of softening, releasing down through into the sit bones on the exhale. If you haven't already, then see how it feels to have the eyes closed or the gaze soft as you do this. So that the focus really is on how this feels within the body, how the body feels from within. So it's not that on the inhale you're kind of doing anything physical, taking any physical movement to try and make the spine longer, but more that you're using the breath to nurture a sense of length in the spine. You're using the breath to nurture a feeling of the sit bones releasing down. And maybe some physical movement might happen, but that's not where you're coming from. That's not the instruction that you're giving to the body. You're using the breath to explore these feelings of length and of softening, releasing down. Okay, on your next inhale, take the arms forwards and up. So you're reaching out with the fingertips up towards the ceiling, palms facing towards each other if that feels okay. If this doesn't feel right for you, if it doesn't feel good around the shoulders, for example, then you can always work with hands on the hips, and then you're focusing on shoulders drawing back and down. So at any point you could come to this, because we'll be working with the arms raised for a little bit now. So at any point you could come to hands on hips, shoulders drawing back and down if that feels better. So see if you can return now to that following of the breath up the spine. So inhaling up the spine, exhaling tops of the shoulders, softening down all the way down through to the sit bones. And just notice, again, see if you can really notice how this feels from within the body. So and you're observing without expectation, without judgment. So for example, does it feel like the sit bones perhaps became a little lighter in terms of their contact with the surface beneath them when you raise the arms up? Can you use the exhale to find that sense of release in the sit bones again? As you take the last few breaths here, see if you can broaden your awareness as you inhale to include the side body. So now there's a sense of exploring a sense of length in the spine and in the sides of the body, from the top of the hip points up to the armpits. So it's like you're kind of broadening your peripheral inner vision or awareness. Length in the spine, length in the side body, exhaling tops of the shoulders, still soften down all the way down through to the sit bones. Great, turn the palms to face outwards. Exhale, sweep the arms out to the sides and all the way down. You might want to take some rolls, some shoulder rolls to ease out the shoulders, or maybe some movements with the chin to ease out the neck, anything that feels good here to ease out. And also if you're sitting on heels and you want to release the legs and give them a little bit of a shake out or a pummel or anything that feels good, you could do that. You could also change from being on the mat to being in a chair or vice versa. And then once you've done that, settle back in. And then either closing the eyes or softening the gaze again. Bring your attention back to the breath and come back to that same following of the breath as before. So now as you inhale, there's a sense of inhaling up the spine, but also an awareness of length in the side body as well as the spine. Exhaling, tops of the shoulders softening down through to the sit bones. And maybe as the sit bones release down, maybe there's an awareness of the hips releasing down a little too. And if you're not feeling that or noticing that, no problem. Just observe, see what you can notice. A few more rounds of breath in this way. And as we do this, see if you can really approach each breath with a renewed interest in and curiosity about how the body feels within, in this very moment, in this breath. So it can be easy perhaps for the mind to still be working here and kind of saying, yes, like we've already settled in using this breath. I know how the body feels right now. We already did that. But each breath is a new thing, is a new moment in the body. So see if you can really stay present with this so that you're really noticing how the body feels in this breath. How does it feel now in this breath? On your next inhale, take the arms forwards and up again to see if you can still have that awareness of length in the spine and the side body as you take that inhale, rather than shifting your focus to the movement of the arms. Continue to follow the breath in the same way as far as you can. So as we take some movement with the body, then the mind kind of kicks into action and the focus is on giving that instruction to the body and then noticing the movement in that body. And that will happen. It needs to happen in order for the movement to happen. But see if you can maintain as much of your awareness as you can with that sense of length on the inhale, softening and release on the exhale. So try and keep as much awareness on how this feels within the body as you can. Turn the right palm to face outwards. Exhale, sweep the right arm out to the side and down. So if you're sitting on a mat, the fingertips or the hands can come to rest on the mat alongside the right hip, or you might, if you're quite high up, you might want a block or something underneath the hand. If you're on a chair, you can press the hand against the side of the chair. Inhale, reach up with the left fingertips. And if your attention has shifted away from that sense of length in the spine and both sides of the body, then bring it back there now. So inhaling, still observing and cultivating a sense of length in the spine and in both sides of the body. And again, you're observing, you're just noticing, does it feel like the left side body has more length right now than the right side body? Maybe it does, because you're reaching up with the fingertips. Maybe not. How does it feel if you draw the right shoulder back and down a little? Does that bring a bit more length to the right side body? Just notice. And if you want to, you could draw the left hand over towards the right a little, but keep the focus on the left side body as you do that. So you're noticing what impact that has on sense of length in the left side body. And as soon as you come back to focus on the spine and on both sides of the body. So how does that now feel in the spine? How does that feel in the right side body? Great. Inhale back to center. Sweep the right arm back up if you're working with the arms raised. Turn both palms face out. Exhale, sweep the arms out to the sides and down. And again, if you want to take some rolls of the shoulders, any movements to ease the neck out, feel free to do that now. And if you can, keep the eyes closed or the gaze soft as you do this, so that right now your focus is on how do my shoulders feel, how does my neck feel, and doing that. So rather than this feeling like a break from that inner awareness, you're still keeping the inner awareness, it's just you're shifting it to the shoulders, the neck right now. And then come back to the breath in the same way as before. So again, rather than seeing this as just a kind of means to an end, a way of settling back in, see if you can, with each breath, bring to that same sense of interest, curiosity about how the body feels within on each breath. How does it feel in terms of length in the spine, length in the side body? Maybe your observation is, I don't feel very long or spacious in the spine and the side body today, and that's fine, just observing that, observing how the focus on the inhale might affect that. Exhaling, tops of the shoulders soften down through to the sit bones, so the sit bones are releasing down into the surface beneath you. Maybe an awareness of the hips releasing, last few breaths in this way. With the next inhale, draw the arms forwards and up. See if you can keep the awareness of length in the spine, length in the side body as you do that. Notice any impact that movement has on that sense of length and also on the sense of softening and releasing down. And the tops of the shoulders still soften down away from the ears. Turn the left palm to face outwards. Exhale, sweep the left arm out to the side and down. Bring it to rest either on the mat or against the side of the chair or on a block underneath the hands. Inhale, reach up with the right fingertips a little more and notice how that feels in terms of length in both sides of the body and in the spine. And can the tops of the shoulders still soften down on the exhale? Can you still feel like the sit bones are releasing down? Maybe draw the right hand over towards the left, but try and keep that focus on both sides of the body and the spine as you do that. So even though we've made a bit of a lateral movement with the spine, can you still use the breath to keep nurturing that sense of length in the spine? And the left shoulder draw back and down a little more. Does that offer you a bit more length in the left side body? Great. Inhale back to center. Sweep the left arm back up if you're working with the arms raised. Then the palms to face out. Exhale, sweep the arms out to the side and all the way down. And again, take some rolls of the shoulders, easing out to the neck. And also if you want to release the legs again, if you're sitting on heels, then you might want to do that. Or you might want to change position, perhaps come to sit on a chair or do whatever feels right. Okay, so coming back to whichever seated position you're going with. And once more coming back to that same pattern of working with the breath as we've been doing throughout. So see if you can, again, come to this afresh. It can be very easy to kind of disengage from it a little because maybe it feels like something, you know, we've already done it. You know how the body feels, but again, see if you can really be present with each breath. How does the body feel now? And how does it feel now? And you're observing, you're using the breath to help you nurture and cultivate that sense of length and that sense of softening and release. But you're not striving to achieve anything here, and you're not coming to it with any expectation or judgment about what you observe. Take one more inhale, and then as you exhale, start to draw your belly and your chest round towards the right. Really focus on trying to keep the belly and the chest in line with each other. So the instruction here isn't get the body as far round to the right as you can, even though the mind, particularly the ego mind, might interpret it that way. It's about exploring a movement where belly and chest can stay in line with each other, and just see where you might move to in terms of drawing round to the right. And then you can bring the right hand to rest against the side of the chair, or press against the side of the chair if you're in a chair, or fingertips or hand onto the mat or onto a support. Left hand rests on the lap wherever feels comfortable. Notice where the head is. So has the head turned round to the right? If so, that's probably where the mind is as well. The mind is thinking you need to get round there. Can you bring the head back so the chin is in line with the center of the chest? So it might be a really small movement that you're taking round to the right here. So come back to that same work with the breath as we've been doing throughout, inhaling up the spine and the side body, finding length there, exhaling, tops of the shoulders soften down. You could also use a bit of a press of the hands to help the shoulders draw back and down a bit more. And at the bottom of the exhale, the sit bones releasing down. So again, notice, observe, in taking that movement round to the right, have the sit bones tensed or lightened a little more? Can you let them release down a bit more? So as we take this twist, if you think about the spine as being the central column of the body, of course, we're not twisting the spine. What we're doing is revolving the body around the spine. So if you think about a corkscrew, it's that kind of action where we're gradually exploring, revolving the body around the spine. So see if you can feel into any sense of that within the body, starting at the base of the spine, so that we're really keeping a focus on the abdominal area and the lower back area being involved here. It's kind of, for most of us, the way sort of our anatomy is, it can tend to be very easy for the chest and the upper back to revolve around. That's not a problem, but that's not what we're doing here. We're exploring a sense of the whole of that upper body revolving around the spine. So see if you can have a sense of that happening from the base of the spine, gradually all the way up. Last few breaths here. Great. Inhale back to center. Take a few breaths here in the same way as before. Observe. Continue to cultivate that sense of length on the inhale, softening and release on the exhale. So the more length and spaciousness that we can find in the side body, then the more space we have to play with when we're exploring that sense of revolving around the spine. Take one more inhale. And then as you exhale, you're drawing belly and chest round towards the left. So again, keep belly and chest in line with each other. Imagine you've got a dot on either side of the belly and a dot on either side of the chest, and you're trying to keep those dots in line with each other. The right hand dots on the belly and the chest in line with each other, the left hand dots in line with each other. The left hand is pressing against something, the side of the chair, the mat, a block. You could use that press to see if the left shoulder might draw back and down. Maybe the press of the right hand on the lap to draw the right shoulder back and down. So you can still bring a little more broadness across the chest here, but you're not doing that by taking the chest further round in the belly. And working with twists in this way can be a really helpful way of really engaging some deeper abdominal muscles and our lower back muscles, which can be a great and often neglected area to support and strengthen. So if you haven't already, you're coming back to that same breath pattern as before, inhaling continuing to find that length and space in the side body, exhaling, continuing to find that sense of softening and release down through to the sit bones. And can you find a sense here, a feeling of the body revolving like a corkscrew around the central column of the spine, starting from the base of the spine and kind of working your way up in corkscrew fashion. And if that doesn't resonate for you and you're not feeling that at all, no problem. You know, continue to take that revolved action and to use the breath in the way that we've been doing throughout the session so far. Great, inhale back to center. Okay, so we're going to take some cat-cow movements now, either from all fours, if that feels okay for you. You could come to all fours now. If all fours isn't right for you, then you could take your cat-cows from seated. So an opportunity to mobilize the spine a little after a fairly lengthy seated practice. So just ease into your cat-cows in your own time. You don't need to match my movements. Just taking the opportunity here to mobilize the spine with some cat-cows. Again, if it feels comfortable too, you can keep your eyes closed here or have your gaze a little softer so that, and in doing that, you're reducing the amount of external sensory input so that you can bring more of your focus to how it feels within the body. If it feels helpful, you might visualize the shape that you're making with the spine as you take these movements, and feel free to take any variations of your cat-cow if you want to. So stay within the body, notice how the body feels, notice what comes up in the mind, maybe what came up when I said feel free to take variations. Did you jump into the mind to try and kind of decide, analyze what feels good? See if you can come back into the body and just intuitively take whatever variations or movements feel right here. Great. Okay, come back to center. We're going to make our way up to a standing forward fold via downward dog, so like we often do. If that doesn't feel right for you, if downward dog doesn't feel right, then you could come and take downward dog at the wall for a few breaths so that you're still finding some length in the side body here. And then you could come to your mat and make your way into forward fold from standing. So feel free to take that practice if that feels best for you. If you're taking downward dog on the mat, then from your all fours, take your hands further forwards and take a moment with fingers spread wide to see if you can really press the hands into the mat. Think in particular about the pads at the base of each finger and at the base of the thumb. See if you can press those into the mat a little more, so that in doing so, you're perhaps a little lighter on the heel of the hand, so there's not so much weight coming down into the heel of the hands. Keep that press of the hands into the mat, draw navel in towards spine, tuck the toes under. On your next inhale, draw the knees up off the mat, and then use the press of the hands to draw the hips up and back. So it's from pressing the hands into the mat as if you're trying to press the mat away from you, that you're able to lift the hips high. If you've got the legs straight, just bend them again for a moment and then focus on the hands pressing into the mat and the hips drawing up and back. Lovely. And as you do that, that may straighten the legs a little more, but the instruction to the body isn't straighten the legs, it's draw the hips as far away from the from the wrists as you can. So just a few more breaths here. See if you can bring your attention to the spine and the side body on the inhale. So very differently orientated to when we were seated, but can you still find that sense of length in the side body and the spine on the inhale? As you exhale, can you focus on a feeling of the hands releasing down into the mat more? So that the hands being a big part of your rootedness, your connection with the ground here. Also the heels releasing down to the ground. It's not a physical movement, doesn't need to be a physical movement, but just to focus on that sense of release. Okay, so if you're in downward dog on the mat, then start to walk your hands back towards your feet. Now, as you do that, try and keep a sense of the hips drawing up. So increasingly, it's a sense of them drawing up towards the ceiling. When the weight comes into the feet fully, into the heels, then you can let the hands go, let the arms release down, let the shoulders release, let the head and the neck release down. If you've been in downward dog at the wall and you haven't already, then come out of that by walking hands up the wall and walking feet in towards the wall, and then come to the mat to standing, place hands on the hips and use an exhale to draw the chest forwards and down to come into your forward fold. So we all meet in a standing forward fold. Feet are pressing down into the mat, so see if you can find an active press of the feet into the mat, even if it doesn't feel like that's doing anything more than the weight coming down into your feet is already doing. Imagine it anyway, and imagine that the rebound energy from that press of the feet helps to draw the hips up a little more, just like that press of the hands when you're coming into downward dog helps to draw the hips up. So hips are drawing up towards the ceiling, creating space for the upper body to soften and release down. So on the exhale now, imagine that you're exhaling down the sides of the body. So now the side body is lengthening as part of a sense of softening and release, rather than a sense of kind of reaching and effort. On your next inhale, come to a halfway lift. Shoulders draw back, chest draws forward, sit bones draw back. And again, see if you can take a few breaths here where on the inhale, you're focusing on a sense of length in the spine and in the side body. As you exhale, can you focus on the feet pressing, releasing down into the ground? Exhale back down to your forward fold. Inhale, press into the feet, draw the chest forwards and all the way up this time to come up to standing. Right. Come to step to the top of your mat and come into your mountain pose. So take a moment to consciously come into your mountain pose. So feet are actively pressing into the mat, same as when you were in your standing forward fold. Tailbone is lengthening down here. So as the tailbone lengthens, there's perhaps you notice a feeling of the pelvis tilting here. That will feel different in different bodies, but just see what you notice there around the pelvis. Maybe you even notice a feeling of the hips hugging in towards the midline of the body a little more. Perhaps you notice the glutes switching on a bit more for you. Navel drawing gently in towards spine, shoulders drawing back and down. Either close your eyes or soften your gaze. As you inhale, can you come back to that sense of inhaling up the spine and the side body? As you exhale, tops of the shoulders softening down, and now a feeling of that softening, that breath traveling all the way down the body through to the soles of the feet. So there's a feeling at the bottom of the exhale of the soles of the feet releasing down into the mat a little more. Take a few more rounds of breath in this way. So again, you're bringing your awareness to how this feels within the body. If you set an intention for your practice today, take a moment to recall that now. Bring palms of the hands together in front of the heart, so thumbs are resting against the center of the chest. As you next inhale, sweep the arms either forwards and up or out to the sides and up, but see if you can find that sense of length in the spine and the side body as you do that. And then as you exhale, draw the chest forwards and down, sweep the arms down, either forwards or out to the sides and down, coming into your forward fold. Feel a sense of length in the side body as it releases down. As you next inhale, come to a halfway lift. Again, that sense of length in the side body. Exhale back down to your forward fold. Now bend your knees as much as you need to so that you can plant your hands in front of and slightly wider than your feet. Try and have palms of the hands on the mat if you can. If that means taking the hands a bit further forwards, then do. And then see if you can really press the hands into the mat. So as you press the hands into the mat, can that help the hips to lift up a little more? Maybe. So the weight is coming forwards into the hands more. Shoulders are above the wrist. Great. Take one more inhale. And then as you exhale, draw the right foot back, draw the back knee down. So you're coming into a low lunge. So once you're there, come up onto fingertips and make any adjustments that you need to your low lunge. So back groin is open but not overstretched. Front foot is firmly rooted. So check that you can really press down into the heel of the front foot as much as into the ball of the foot. And if that's not the case, then just take the front foot forwards. Even just a little shuffle forwards can make quite a difference here. Right. Press into that front foot, and as you next inhale, draw the chest forwards and up. Bring hands onto the hips, shoulders drawing back and down. Take a few rounds of breath here in the same way as we've been doing. So you're inhaling up the spine and the side body, finding length there. As you exhale, a feeling of the tops of the shoulders softening down. Maybe they draw back and down a little more. And that softening then coming all the way down through to the pelvis, as there's a sense of the pelvis releasing down towards the mat. Doesn't mean there needs to be a physical movement, but just an awareness of that release. Also at the bottom of each exhale, an awareness of the front foot releasing into the mat. Great. Bring palms of the hands together in front of the heart. Take an inhale. And then as you exhale, draw belly and chest round towards the left. So again, see if you can keep belly and chest in line with each other. So it might be a really small movement, might be a bigger one, doesn't matter. The point is, how does it feel within the body? Does it feel like, in keeping belly and chest in line with each other, what we're doing is encouraging some deeper abdominal muscles to stay engaged here. So can you notice that feeling? If not, then it may well be that you've left the belly and lower back behind. Can you find that sense of the body revolving around the spine, from the base of the spine upwards, that kind of corkscrewing action? So this isn't about, however much the ego mind might want to convince you otherwise, this isn't about how far round to the left you're getting. Great. Inhale back to center. Exhale, draw the chest forwards and down, plant the hands. So as you plant the hands, try and have shoulders above the wrists as far as you can, so that you can really press the hands into the mat. Tuck the back toes under, inhale the back knee up, find a bit more press of the hands into the mat. Maybe that lifts the hips a little more. On your next exhale, start to draw the hips up and back until you've got space for the front foot to draw back, so you're coming into your downward dog. You can either be in a downward dog here for a few breaths, or if extended child's pose feels better, then you can draw knees to the mat, thumb to heels, forehead to the mat. Try and come to a position, if you can, where you're still exploring that feeling of length. So we often talk in these poses about the length from the outer edge of the wrist to the outer edge of the hip. So if it feels helpful to imagine that you're inhaling from wrist to hip to find that length in the side body, then do. Great. We're going to prepare to step through with the right foot. So either stay in downward dog, if that's right for you, or come to all fours, whichever is right for your step through. And then take an inhale to prepare. And then as you exhale, draw the right foot forward, bring it in between the hands. If you've come from downward dog, then draw the back knee down. So you're coming into low lunge on the other side, and then come up onto fingertips, just give you enough space to make adjustments as you need to. Great. So in your low lunge, it will depend on different bodies, but generally to find enough kind of release in the pelvis, so you're bringing that opening to the back groin, then you want the knee to kind of be in a position where it might start above the ankle, but then as you release the pelvis down maybe a little more, the knee is further forwards than the ankle. Do what feels right for your body. If that doesn't feel right and that feels overstretched on the groin, the back groin, then don't do that. Okay, so press into the front foot, inhale, draw the chest forwards, and that bring hands onto the hips. Shoulders drawing back and down, and then come back to the breath in the same way as before, inhaling up the spine, up the side body, exhaling, tops of the shoulders soften down through to the pelvis and the sole of the front foot as they release down. And again, just observing, how does this feel? Maybe noticing how this feels compared to when we were taking this breath from seated, when we were taking it in mountain pose, just observing. And that's not to say that you're not nurturing and cultivating that sense of length on the inhale, that sense of release on the exhale, but you're not, you know, there's no kind of goal in sight here. There's nothing you're trying to achieve. We're observing. Bring palms of the hands together in front of the heart. Take an inhale, find that length in the side body, and then as you exhale, draw belly and chest round towards the right. So again, keep the belly and chest in line with each other as much as you can. There are other ways that we might work with twists, where we do kind of take advantage of the more mobile chest and upper back and draw further round to the right. But what we're working with here is to try and really keep the belly, the lower back engaged here. So see if you can come back to that awareness of feeling like the body is revolving around the spine like a corkscrew. And bringing the awareness inwards in this way can feel helpful, or might feel helpful to you, in terms of letting go a little more of any sense of like, I need to get round to the right. Because this isn't about the limbs, about the outer perception of the body, or, you know, yeah, the position the body's in. It's how it feels within the body. Great. Inhale back to center. Exhale, draw the chest forwards and down, plant the hands. Try and have palms of the hands on the mat, shoulders above wrists. Find that press of the hands into the mat. Maybe it feels like the arms lengthen a little as you do that. Tuck the back toes under. Inhale the back knee up. And then as you exhale, step the back foot forward, as many steps as you need to come to your forward fold. Take a few breaths in your forward fold. Feel free to take any variations of forward fold here. And if forward fold doesn't feel releasing to you, or you know, it's feeling aggravating on the lower back, or for any other reason, if you've got a chair available, you could come to seated and release in the chair by drawing the chest forwards and down, belly resting against the side, head neck, shoulders releasing down. Maybe see if you can lengthen the exhale for the last few breaths here. So you're really cultivating that sense of softening and release. Okay, on your next inhale, come to a halfway lift. Exhale to forward fold. Inhale, draw the chest forwards all the way up. You can sweep the arms up if you want, or have hands on the hips. Exhale, bring palms of the hands together in front of the heart. Release the arms alongside the body. Be in your full mountain pose again. Either closing the eyes or softening the gaze. And just observe. So let the breath be in its natural rhythm, no control over the breath, just observing, noticing how the body feels. Without any control over the breath, can you still bring your awareness within? How does the body feel within? And if that doesn't kind of feel like something you can kind of really tune into, you're just observing the body anyway, whatever you noticed about the body right now in this moment. Okay, so now we're going to make our way down, sitting on the mat. If you want to take a float to get down to the mat, you're very welcome to do that. Just do that in your own time, in your own way. Otherwise, come straight down to sitting on the mat. So you're either flowing down to the mat or you're coming down to sitting now, and just know that then we'll meet with legs out, stretched, and you can just lean back on your hands for a moment. Legs are relaxed, just to give everyone a moment to make their way down to the mat. And if you're sat waiting for that, you could take some rotations of the ankles. That might feel nice. Perhaps even bring soles of the feet to the mat and take some windscreen wiper movements with the legs, squeeze the hips out a little. We've been doing a lot of closed hip work. Okay, and then straightening the legs out. So now, so whenever we're sat with legs out long, I would always recommend at least exploring taking a bit of height under the sit bones. It can be very easy. So if I stay off the height for a moment, it's easier for me to demonstrate. It can be very easy with legs out long like this to end up kind of on the back of the sit bones more. And as we do that, we kind of dump the weight into the lower back more. So even if it feels okay sitting there, chances are, yeah, we're kind of putting more load, more pressure on the lower back. With a little bit of height, for many of us, it can feel much easier to really access the center of the sit bones, like the boniest bit of the sit bone. So you feel like the weight is coming more directly down into the sit bones there. And by doing that already, you're not putting as much weight and pressure into the lower back. So the other thing that we can do to help keep some length in the lower back is if you bring the hands alongside the hips now, so you can have fingertips pressing into the mat. Use that press of the fingertips now to draw the shoulders back and down. So as you do that, maybe there's a sense of a bit more lift in the chest, and notice the relationship between that lift in the chest and finding a bit more length in the lower spine. So try and maintain this action of shoulders drawing back and down now as you release the hands. So still keep shoulders drawing back and down. You've got that lift in the chest, some length in the lower spine. Take both hands to the back of the right thigh now and use the press of the hands to draw the right knee in towards you. So sole of the right foot comes to the mat. Now interlace your fingers if that feels okay, and then bring both hands to press against the right shin, so that then you're using the press of the hands against the shin to help draw the shoulders back and down. So try and keep that key action going of shoulders drawing back and down. Right foot is pressing into the mat. So it might be, once you've kind of got to this place, it might be that drawing the right foot a bit closer in towards the bum helps you feel like you can press the right foot down a little more. Get active through the left leg now by pushing out through the left foot. Imagine that you're pushing the sole of the left foot against the wall in front of you. And as you do that, can you feel like the left hip can draw down towards the mat a little more? In a moment, we're going to revolve around towards the right. We're going to explore one more twist. So that will compress the abdomen quite a bit. So if you've got any reason not to want to compress the abdomen, so common reasons would be pregnancy or being on the heavy part of your period, but there might be any number of reasons. So if that's the case, then you'll turn in the opposite direction, so you're taking a more open twist. Okay, so as you inhale, see if you can find that length in the spine and in the side body. And then as you exhale, you're drawing round towards the right. So as you do that, you can start to wrap the left arm around the right knee more. So the right knee is still hugging in. You can release the right hand, and that can come to rest on the mat as close to the body as you can take it. Okay, so as you've done that, just notice what's going on with the belly and the chest. So if you're drawn round to the right, then it's much more compressed, so it might be trickier to notice in the first place. Also, probably what you've done, because it's kind of how I've guided it, is that you're probably using the leverage from the press of the left arm against the right knee. You're using that as leverage to help you draw around towards the right, and maybe the press of the right hand as well is helping with that, and that's fine. But can you come back to some inner awareness now? So start by inhaling up the spine and up the side body. And then as you exhale, can you find any sense of the body revolving around the spine in that kind of corkscrew-like action? And when you do that, does it feel like maybe you've got a bit more engagement around that abdominal area, that lower back area? And if it doesn't, then that's fine too. Just notice what you notice. Great. Inhale back to center. And then exhale, release the right leg out. You can lean back on your hands for a moment. Ease out in any way you want to. So you could take some windscreen wiper movements again if you want to, or rotate the ankles, anything that feels releasing here. And then we'll come to the other side. So take the hands behind the left thigh now, draw the left knee in towards you, and then use the press of the hands against the left shin to help the shoulders draw back and down. So you've got that lift in the chest that helps to bring length to the spine. Push out through the right foot so you're active in the right leg. Maybe a feeling of the right hip drawing down towards the mat if you can. Take an inhale. And then as you exhale, start to draw around towards the left. So as you do that, left hand can release as you wrap the right arm more around the knee. So you're still hugging the knee in with the press of the right forearm or inside of the elbow, or whatever it is for you. And then can you come back to feeling a sense of length in the spine and in the side body on the inhale. And then on the exhale, can you feel any sense of the body revolving around the spine, from the base of the spine working its way up in a kind of corkscrew way? With this kind of twist, it can be easy because we're kind of using that press of the hands as leverage here, it can be easy to then just kind of let go of any sense of inner awareness. You know, you're just kind of, but then you're just making a shape with your body. You know, you've kind of lost that inner work. Great. Inhale, back to center. Exhale, release the leg out. And again, so now if it feels okay, then just keep the hands back behind you. So lean back on the hands, bend the knees just enough so that soles of the feet can come to the mat, and then take some windscreen wiper movements with the legs just to ease the hips out a little here. Just whatever range of movement feels okay for you. Okay, come back to center. And then make your way down onto your back. So we're making our way towards Shavasana. So you might want to grab any extra layers or anything for covering your eyes. So no rush to get there. Take your time to grab whatever you need for your Shavasana. But just know that once you're on your back, you're either, so a couple of options, and just take whatever feels right for you. And in particular, you know, take what feels releasing and supportive for your lower back. So you're either then coming into Baddha Konasana, so knees out to each side, soles of the feet pressing gently together, or you can come to hugging knees in towards you, so one hand on each knee, but drawing the knees apart so they're drawing in the direction of each armpit. So take whichever of those two poses feels right for you. Try not to overthink it, just come to whatever feels right. As you inhale into the space in the front body, the belly, the chest. As you exhale, can you have a feeling of the front body softening and releasing into the back body releasing, spreading into the ground. If you're in Baddha Konasana, then on your next inhale, draw your knees back together, soles of the feet back to the mat. If you've been hugging knees in towards you, then use an exhale to draw the soles of the feet back to the mat. And then make your way into your Shavasana. So come to whatever position feels right for you, so you can let go now. Let go of effort and holding in the body as you allow the ground to hold you. Let go of control over the breath. And see if you can come back to the practice we started with of just observing the breath. And see if you can bring that same sense of interest in and curiosity about how this feels. That's it, that we were working with when we were working with the breath to find length and to find release. So just seeing if you can come to each breath anew with a renewed sense of interest and curiosity, knowing that each breath is a new breath, is a different experience. And just notice how it feels as the breath comes in, as the breath goes out. Maybe thinking to yourself, inhaling, exhaling, if that feels helpful to help you maintain that focus. So just being with the breath now and knowing that this space is held for you while you do that. Starting to bring some deeper breaths into your body. Slowly bringing some movement back to your body, maybe wiggling fingers and toes, perhaps rotating wrists and ankles. Taking any movements now, any stretches, sighs, yawns, anything that feels good as you bring your full awareness back to your body. Taking your time to make your way back up to a comfortable seated position, having your eyes closed or your gaze soft as you do that. Once you're there, if you set an intention at the start of your practice, take a moment to recall that now. Bringing palms of the hands together in front of the heart, take a moment to be grateful to yourself for making the time for this practice today. and a moment for us to be grateful that we have this practice of yoga available to us, and that we have this means of connection available so we can gather and practice together in this way. If you want to, you could take a moment to think of anything else that you're grateful for right now. Bowing your head towards your fingertips. Namaste. Releasing your hands, raising your head whenever you're ready. Thank you guys, lovely to practice with you.